Hello again. This time a video not so much about bicycling but related to bicycling because it affects my future, what I wanted to do with my website and business. And that is the issue of the war started by Russia this year, although they already started in 2014. Against Ukraine. So I wanted to start a business here in Ukraine and possibly buy a house here. And part of the production was I wanted to do in the EU. There are various reasons for this. I like it in Ukraine, for example. You can read it. You read about this on my travel pages. And one of the issues that popped up was that I wanted to do a cooperation with a velomobile maker who lives near Cherkasy, and he told me he left Ukraine. There are family reasons for that, or he didn't return to Ukraine. I think it was because he wouldn't have been allowed to leave. There are other issues as well that popped up that made things difficult for me. And I thought, after talking to a friend of mine, or more of an acquaintance, who lived in Ukraine but went to live in Russia end of 2022, that it would be interesting to make a video about the different views we both have. The views of this war, whether it's justified or not, how it will affect Russia, how it will affect Ukraine. For some reason, he sees Russia's reasons as justified, whereas I do not. You cannot just justify a war because someone wants to be in NATO or anything else. That's just stupid. So the interesting thing about this is that he lived for years in Ukraine, and there are a few things he doesn't like or didn't like in Ukraine, some of which I agree with. For example, that people are not patriotic enough, they don't see the good points of their country, but I think most of that is caused by the poor economic situation in Ukraine. So the first time I got to Ukraine, I thought, yeah, this is an interesting country. I love nature here, I love the old style buildings. I like the language. I like Russian and Ukrainian. I like the food. Even some of the soft drinks, like such as Targoon. I thought, oh, that's nice. Some of my favorite teas are from Ukraine. Yeah, I discovered a lot here that I liked, and I felt here more at home than in the Netherlands. So I made plans, although it took a long time. I had a lot of distractions and setbacks, but I sold my house. I'm now in Ukraine, in Zhytomyr, about 140 kilometers west of Kiev, and visited houses for both, with large plots of land for both living and business, to see what's available. Actually, I did it in Poland as well, but Poland just doesn't grab me at all in any aspect, not in language, not in old style buildings, not in nature. So I had a look in Poland, but I decided, no, I'm going to Ukraine. I went from Wrocław, where a friend of mine lives, to Przemyśl, near the border. From there I took a train to Kiev. You need to take a different train because there's a different track width in Ukraine. And the minute I got in the train, I already felt more at home because for example, people speaking Russian and Ukrainian. But yeah, nature. I like nature here a lot more. roads are bad, but they're pretty bad in Poland as well. There are just things here that attract me a lot, and my friend made some really how shall I say it, unfriendly comments about Ukraine. I mean, you cannot just justify this war that Russia started under any circumstances. Ukraine didn't do anything. But you see that he's been sort of brainwashed. And this is actually something that can happen fairly quickly. You can see an example of this in the Stockholm syndrome, where people are kidnapped and are made to understand the kidnapper's viewpoint and may go along and help them in their cause. The reason why this happens is that most people are not critical enough. They don't analyze, they don't check what reality is like. At some point, reality will come into conflict with the views that you have if those views are not correct. The only time that does not happen is when you explain away everything using a viewpoint that is very similar to solipsism, which is that you believe that everything is created in your own mind, which also means that you can never convince such a person that reality is different, because he always explains whatever happens in terms of, yeah, but my mind does this for this or that reason. So everything's created in the solipsist's mind. And an example of this is critical theory, which you see from circles of social justice warriors, which is just unbelievably stupid stuff. And the premise is given and everything is explained away or explained as being irrelevant without proper argumentation, but simply by being wrong, being exactly what they say it causes this or that. Let's see, I need to go left here. I'm going to a small green area next to a small river. I've been there before, it's quite a nice area. I'm using my older phone for navigation. And this one to make the video. So yeah, we're close to that region, it's getting green already. So the topic of the video is, why does someone change his mind so quickly? Well, that's really difficult to say, even taking into consideration things such as Stockholm syndrome. Why would he change his mind so quickly when he's been living in Ukraine for years? I think the main reason is that he wants to believe that he made the right decision. He made the decision to move to Russia, so he's then looking for justifications to make it look to himself that he made the right decision. This is actually very common in many people. Most people are not truth seekers. They don't seek out the uncomfortable reality. They seek out facts and views that confirm their views, the views that they already have. Okay, yeah, I want to go across the river. Let's see how I can get there. Not to the left, I think. Oh yes, I need to go to the left. So The reasoning he gives in all his explanations of why it's justified and what's going to happen is very similar to what the trolls on YouTube write in or some of them, there are troll channels such as I Earl Grey and Redacted, with some guy who also makes videos on his own channel. Let's see if I'm going correctly. Perhaps I need to go left after all. Alright. Yeah, left. Alright. So the trolls, they talk about Bandera, which was a World War II figure who fought against both the Soviets and the Germans. And the Russians, for some reason, do not like him. Let me switch off